Protectors of the Grid. Chapter 15. It was after several years of study with Oscar that he issued an invitation to an apprenticeship. We would gather in West Palm Beach, where Oscar and his wife Cindy live, to learn new means of interdimensional work. Ben rolled his eyes. Tara saw it but chose not to respond. There were about 30 of us, and we had gone to Oscar's home partly because of desire for privacy as we invoked our spiritual allies, and partly because he has created such a spiritual oasis in the backyard of his home, right in the middle of a gated community. One of the primary features is an apacheta, which is a stone kern that feeds the energy of our prayers and medicine work right into the ley lines of the planet. Ley lines? Ben sighed. The planet's nervous system. Earth takes the energy and carries it to wherever it's needed. Okay. Ben nodded, disbelieving but resigned, wanting to hear the rest of the story. Night is the usual time for deep medicine work. The energies were so powerful in the house, where Oscar's altarmare, his primary altar, is, that even though he had disconnected, actually removed the batteries from, all the smoke alarms, they went off. In our highly altered and sensitized state, their piercing sounds energetically attacked us. Oscar mitigated it somewhat by redirecting the energies with his giant condor feather, but he then directed us all outside to form a circle around the apacheta. First, we clasped hands in the circle, alternating man, woman. Then, as he was gazing into the stars above us, he said for all the men to step back and for the women to step forward. He said the Divine Mother was grateful for our service, and this was the time for our men to support our women in embodying her and showing the way. Tara paused for a minute, recalling the sequence of events. He had given me his staff, which I was holding in my left, or receptive hand, and my good friend and shaman sister Mary was holding my right. The energy was so strong I felt as though I could lift off, but the purpose of this ceremony was to bring the energy of the divine feminine into the earth. We were channels, hollow bones through which divine love could flow into physical reality. That's when it happened. She paused again, remembering. Ben, I looked up to the star-spangled sky, and I saw her. You saw what? I saw the face of the goddess. She looked raw and primitive, and her jaw moved as though she were speaking. I didn't hear any words, but my heart swelled and tears poured down my cheeks. You saw a goddess? Yes. Oh, it was a cloud. And yet it was more than a cloud. Her jaw kept moving as though she were speaking. I felt her appreciation and her approval. The energy she was sending into and through me was power and love and joy and creativity, and all I could think of was more, Mother, more. Tara smiled, remembering. I couldn't look up for more than half a minute at a time. It was like my eyes or my whole being was dazzled and on the edge of exploding. Maybe I couldn't have seen as much as I did had the cloud not acted as a sort of shield, but every time I looked back up, she was still there, her jaw still moving, the huge, empty ovals of her eyes seeing everything and sharing what she was seeing, the energy still pouring through me. She waited a moment. Then Mary, still holding my right hand, dropped to her knees. She said later that the energy was too strong for her to stand. That's when I looked around and saw Oscar watching, his eyes wide but knowing. He said something to the men standing beside him, and they came to join the others standing behind Mary and me. I was weakening too and grateful for the support. That's when the copter showed up. Ben's face jerked toward her. A helicopter? Yes, one of those that are completely glassed in and darkened so you can't see who is in it. It came straight toward us. Oscar told us early in our studies of switching the focus of his work from interactions with the Star Brethren to the traditional energy work of indigenous shamans. Until then, he was working with Sixto Paz Wells, a Peruvian man who was opening stargates where people studying with Oscar could meet and converse with star beings. Sixto was kicked out of the U.S. and blacklisted from ever returning. When the copter appeared, Oscar's face went white and his eyes... well, he seemed terrified. He told us of being personally harassed and threatened before he changed his curriculum. It's the same work, but those in power dismiss it. They discount the old ways. They don't know that stargates can be opened many ways. We knew that the day before when we were doing mesa work, power interruptions had caused a jam and delays in a railroad yard a short distance away. What? Now you're talking extraterrestrials? What connection is there between ETs and spiritual work? It's all about energy and vibration, Ben. There are forces in the U.S. that don't want anyone who knows about contact with star brethren to share that possibility. They want people to stay locked in 3D and not to consider that we might have help from other sources. Actually, the powers that be often mount false flag encounters to keep the general population afraid and under control. This is the first I've heard you mention such things, Tara. Ben was agitated, moving from irritation to anger. This really sounds like a fairy tale or the basis for a remake of the movie Independence Day. Exactly. Tara's patience was becoming strained. Did Independence Day convince you that extraterrestrials are out to do us all in? Yet they're supposed to have such advanced technology that they could have already wiped us out a jillion times if they were so inclined. What if there are some dastardly ETs, and there are also some benevolent ones, maybe more evolved, that want to help humanity get past the continuous cycles of war and destruction as they have? To learn that beings of all kinds, human and otherwise, can live in peace, grace, and harmony? It's what we were all originally designed for. Tara strained against her seatbelt to face Ben head-on. It's incredibly arrogant and narcissistic to think we've got things all figured out. Even now, you don't know what you don't know. That phrase stopped Ben's thoughts like a monkey wrench in a bicycle wheel. Damn, you don't know what you don't know. Tara was still talking. He pulled his attention back. So would you have listened if I had spoken of the more dramatic aspects of my experiences first? Look at you. You're already up in arms because I mentioned a black helicopter, while moments ago you were glazing over to think of my actually seeing the face, or the reflection of the face of the Divine Mother. Tara was sputtering with frustration. And what the fuck do you think is important? Confirming the actual existence of a supernatural creator being, one that lives inside you as well as outside you, or that some Earth-side agencies trying to control realities it prefers to hide from its citizens? What if there is an evil empire out there, or maybe in here, conspiring to control Earth for access to her resources? Ben's mouth opened, then closed. Ben and Tara glared at each other. He had so much swirling in his head he didn't know which to grab, so no words came. After a long, increasingly uncomfortable stretch of silence, Tara snorted, then turned away from Ben to face the window. From her place in the driver's seat, Charlie cleared her throat. I think we're here, Ben. Do you know which exit to take to get to Grace's?